Hey you guys, welcome to my channel. I'm Theban Traveler, traveling specifically for history. And today I could not be more excited as I am going to explore the amazing city of Alexandria. So before I get started, a quick shout out to the hotel I called home for 6 days, the Paradise Inn Windsor Palace Hotel, or Windsor Palace Hotel for short. Now I will be making an extra video at the end of the series on Alexandria, covering transportation, hotels and restaurants, basically all info you need if you decide to visit the city. However, this hotel is over 100 years old and by that alone deserves a special mention. Built in 1906, it is considered to be one of the oldest hotels of the city, with a palatial style typical for its time, and it shows the glory and graciousness of a golden age of the city. More info about this beautiful hotel in the extra video. For now, let's head into the city. It takes about 30 minutes walking from the hotel to my first stop, but as you walk, you can really enjoy the style, architecture, and typical colors of the city, which is definitely an advantage over taking the car. Let's not forget, this ancient city today is a modern metropolis of over 5 million people, so the traffic can be very busy at times. Not as busy as Cairo though, but it's easy to get stuck. You'll save more time by leaving the car behind, and it makes it easier to spot those hidden gems. Speaking of gems, here is a place you might not notice immediately from a car or a taxi, but be sure to check it out, the Farouk Cafe, named after King Farouk, who was the king of Egypt from 1936 until the revolution of 1952. It looks like it hasn't changed since the first day it's opened in 1928, again showing that same elegance typical for the golden age of the city. And while having a drink, you can check out the pictures of the former king adorning the walls. It's a perfect appetizer to get started on this city's ancient history. Now, as you have with history, sometimes you need to use your imagination. If we would be walking here 2,300 years ago in the time of Cleopatra, you would be awestruck by the shining light of one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, the Lighthouse of Alexandria. It has been estimated to have been more than 100 meters tall, and for many centuries, it was the tallest man-made structure in the world. When Alexander the Great founded the city in 332 BC, he connected it to an offshore island called Pharos, in order to create the Grand Harbor. But after the death of Alex, the Ptolemies took control of Egypt and the city. Between 284 and 246 BC, a man called Sostratus of Cnidus, a Greek architect and engineer, was commissioned by the first Ptolemaic king, Ptolemy Soter, to build a grand lighthouse. It would be finished in the reign of his son, Ptolemy Philadelphus. After its construction, the lighthouse would often be referred to by its nickname, the Pharos, named after the island. It took 12 years to construct at a total cost of 800 talents of silver, being built mostly with solid blocks of limestone. Keeping that in mind, the structure was thus a perfect representation of the new Hellenistic ideal the Greeks brought into Egypt, combining native Egyptian materials such as limestone to construct a typical Greek design building, a lighthouse. At daytime, the light was made by a mirror at its top, reflecting sunlight, and a fire was used at night, welcoming ships safely into the Grand Harbor. So this wonder had 2 functions. It wasn't only a symbol of power and prestige of the Ptolemaic dynasty, it also served a practical function. The lighthouse was severely damaged though by 3 earthquakes. The final one in 1323 left it as an abandoned ruin. It was too dangerous to climb anymore. It was the 3rd longest surviving ancient wonder, surviving in part until the 1480s. By that time, the last of its remnant stones were used to build the Citadel of Qaitbay. Today, you can still see some of the huge blocks that collapsed into the water next to the citadel. So today, little remains of the lighthouse, but it was here that Sultan al-Ashraf Saif al-Din Qaitbay, of the Mamluk Sultanate of Egypt, decided to build his fortress on top of the site. It was to be part of his coastal defensive system against the Turks. Quick side note, Mamluk is an Arabic term for slaves, usually referring to slaves who are non-Muslim, who were eventually made soldiers. But after time, some Mamluks became so powerful that they ended up becoming Muslim rulers themselves. Even Qaitbay himself was Circassian by birth, which is in the south of Russia, and was purchased by the 9th Sultan before being freed by the 11th Sultan. And he himself became the 18th Sultan of Egypt. But back to our topic. The architect was Kagmas al-Ashaki, himself a Mamluk who had served in Syria. During the rule of Qaitbay, he became the edifice mason, and eventually the viceroy of Alexandria. He was considered intelligent and modest, as well as the overseer of many constructions during the time of Qaitbay. He built the fortress and even placed a mosque inside it for the residents to worship. The citadel continued to function during most of the Mamluk and the later Ottoman period, but eventually became out of date. Only when Muhammad Ali became the ruler of Egypt in 1805, the fort underwent heavy renovation and brought up to date with the most modern weapons of the time. Thus, we can consider the reign of Muhammad Ali as being another golden era for the citadel. However, the citadel was heavily damaged after the British bombardment of the city in 1882. It was heavily damaged. It was kept out of the spotlight. It became neglected until the 20th century, when it was restored several times by the Egyptian Supreme Council of Antiquities. Today, though, it is open to visitors who enjoy the building, and it is a clear favorite not only among tourists but locals as well, who come to witness the history and its views over the city, and to make selfies. 'Cause hey, why not? So, time for another special mention here. If you decide to travel to the Necropolis of Anfushi, as I'm doing, you will walk by the gates leading to the large area of the Ras El Tin Palace. It was a royal palace under the Muhammad Ali dynasty and is the oldest royal Egyptian palace still in use. It is one of the few palaces in Egypt to witness the initiation of the long-lasting dynasty. Work began in 1834, taking 11 years to complete. The palace was mainly used as a summer residence, and it has a beautiful Italian Renaissance style, combined with Baroque and Moorish elements, a place I wish I could visit inside and explore. Following the Egyptian Revolution of '52, King Farouk sought refuge here in this palace, where he was besieged by the Egyptian armed forces. Farouk signed his abdication here and left Egypt to go into exile. Today, the area is used as a naval base and for hosting state guests and events. It's also available for the president to use as a residence. There is no public museum and ground access is strictly controlled. So taking pictures of the palace is not possible, unless you want to have trouble with the guards. However, you can walk past it and admire its beautiful architecture. Just don't whip out your phone, just in case. So you guys just took a look at the tombs. Now, most people who visit here, they usually mention that it's not worth a visit, or not much to see, waste of my time. Honestly, it depends what you like to see. There are 5 Greek rock-cut tombs here, dating back to the 3rd and 2nd century BC. Now, the 2 tombs I have seen have an open courtyard with other chambers for 1 or more burials. Unfortunately, it's only number 1 and 2 that are open. 3 and 5 are closed because of flooding. You can take a look from above though. But according to the people who work here, it's much too dangerous to allow visitors. It's a problem you have in the north of Egypt, where you have a very moist environment and climate. So, numbers 1 and 2? Well, number 2 has no images of mythology or gods. The only few images that survive are what they call a geometric motif. So you see circles and squares with different colors, but it's just a few, not that many. Really does not remind me of a pagan tomb like you see in the Valley of the Kings, for example. More like a Christian or Islamic tomb, since there are no images of anything except for shapes. Now, Tomb 1, that's the more interesting one, since it does have more mythological scenes of typical Egyptian gods, such as Osiris, Isis, Anubis, and Horus, crouching sphinxes, and other Egyptian themes. Now, I have been told that number 3 does have a large sarcophagus of pink Aswan granite, but unfortunately it's closed. Tomb number 4? Well, see for yourself. Not much to see. Maybe it's caved in from the moisture. You can clearly see natural damage of moisture on the rocks. Ironically, I like it above ground much more. There are beautiful remains of Greek-style columns and a big sarcophagi with amazing detail work. I like it much more than the tombs. Especially the white one is my favorite. It has figurines and vines with grapes. Definitely my favorite. So, conclusion? Well, it really depends on what you want. If you're looking for interesting tombs here in the city, there are definitely better ones. But it's not a waste of time. I think no historical site is a waste of time. There is always something interesting. Such as the sarcophagi above ground, who are very interesting and have a lot of detail. And who knows, maybe you do find these tombs interesting. It's just my personal opinion. And maybe when you visit, the other tombs might be open or restored, and they turn out to be amazing. And hey, you guys, for $2, who are we to complain? It simply proves again and again you should always check things out for yourself, even when other people don't like it. 'Cause everyone likes different things. So I have no regrets. I'm happy I checked it out. The Abu al-Abbas al-Mursi Mosque is the most historic and beautiful mosque in Alexandria. It was built primarily in 1775 over the tomb of a Spanish scholar and saint, Abu al-Abbas al-Mursi. So this man, he was born in a wealthy family in the southern region of Spain called Andalusia in 1219. But with the Reconquista, he and his family left for Tunisia, and later he came here to Alexandria, which was a popular destination at the time for many Muslim scholars. He ended up living here for 43 years as a scholar and teacher until his death in 1286. He was buried back then in a small building. In 1307, el-Sheikh Zayn al-Din ibn al-Khatn, one of the richest traders of the city, visited the tomb, and he founded a mausoleum and dome over the tomb, along with a small mosque. It became a place of pilgrimage for many Muslims from Egypt and Morocco who passed through the city on their way to and from Mecca. Most of the present structure dates from 1775, when the Algerian Sheikh Abu el-Hassan el-Maghrabi built a much larger mosque on the site. It was fully renovated in 1863, and an annual festival was established to celebrate his birth. The mosque was again beautified in 1943 under King Farouk, who built the Midan el-Masagad, or Mosque Square. The mosque itself stands 23 meters high and dressed in artificial stone. The minaret has an Ayyubid's design with 4 sections of different shapes. The mosque has an entrance on the north and one on the east, both of which overlook the square. But according to a royal order, the necessary alterations were made to reserve a special worship area for women with a private entrance. So you guys, before I'm ending my video, I wanted to show you a part of the city I personally find intriguing. This area was once known as the heart of the European city in the city of Alexandria. Basically, in the time of the monarchy, there were a lot of Europeans visiting and living in this city, and this was considered the heart of their community. You should know, in 1907, about 20% of the population was foreign, mostly Greeks, Italians, British, and French. And French was apparently the common language spoken between these communities, which does explain names like Place des Consuls. It was a big and bustling place for the foreign communities to gather and to go to the opera, the cinema, restaurants, basically having a good time. And there is a lot to see, from the Alexandria Naval Unknown Soldiers Memorial Monument to the Place des Consuls, where you can find a beautiful statue of Muhammad Ali. The statue of Muhammad Ali on his horse, which was made in Paris by sculptor Alfred Jacquemart in 1860, and there are fountains adorning both sides. However, with the revolution of 52, and especially during the following Suez Crisis of 56, the foreign population went into a serious decline. So today, this area, it's a reminder of the past, and I suppose what this place means is personal. For some, it's a positive reminder of the mixture of cultures like Alexander envisioned this city to be. For others, it's more a negative one, a reminder of colonialism and too much foreign influence. It really is how you decide to look at it. For me, well, I love history, and I love buildings that have a history, whether it has these grand European styles or more traditional Islamic styles like the mosque, or Old Cairo, which has beautiful architecture. I love them both, and I can only hope that these buildings will be maintained and cared for. So, whether you like them or not, it's a part of the history and the culture of this city, And that. Thank you guys so much for watching my first video on Alexandria. If you enjoyed it, please hit that like button. Next time, I'll be exploring more ancient sites, from Roman villas to amphitheaters, museums, and some more hidden gems. So be sure to hit the subscribe button to stay informed of my latest videos. Thank you guys for watching, and talk to you soon.